Make Christmas 2025 unforgettable. Explore the holiday magic of Europe with the Travel Bug Girls as we tour Christmas markets across Germany, Switzerland, and France. It's the ultimate Christmas shopping experience happening November 29th through December 7th. So grab your girlfriends and visit travelbuggirls.com to learn more and sign up today. Welcome to the Travel Bug Girls podcast, the show where we dive into the world of travel, exploring everything from expert tips and insider secrets to unforgettable destinations and the latest trends. Whether you're a seasoned globetrotter or planning your very first adventure, we've got you covered with the advice and inspiration you need to make your travels truly unforgettable. So sit back, relax, and let's take your travel planning to the next level. You're now listening to part 2 of our episode on choosing a cruise line. If you haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to episode 16, and then come back and join us here. Let's talk about family-friendly versus adult-only.
Family-friendly is definitely going to have programming designed for children, and they're going to have rooms that are designed to accommodate families. So maybe bunk beds plus a queen-size bed in your cabin, something like that, or adjoining rooms, so that it makes it easier for families to stay together. And the dining experience will also take into consideration families with small children that might need to eat at earlier hours, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of consideration that goes into family programming and the entertainment and the spaces. So a ship that's designed for that is going to have put a lot of work and money into that thought process. Adults only can sound risque to Americans, but it doesn't need to be that considered that way. It just means that children aren't allowed, and there aren't accommodations for children. There's not programming for children. There's no playground or, water slide that's designed for little kids. There's none of that is on the ship. And they're really taking into account what do adults want on vacation. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Perceptions about adults only trips and adult only programming. So one thing that people imagine, I've heard people have said this directly to me, that they're concerned about going on a cruise because they've heard rumors about things like swingers, for example. Swingers happen on every cruise line, I would guess. I'm just going to say from my personal knowledge, not that I'm a swinger, but personal knowledge, I would say definitely happening on Carnival, definitely happening on Royal Caribbean. It's happening everywhere. And some of these companies have taken some measures to try to reduce that because they feel like that's threatening to the family-friendly vibe for good reason. That's concerning to them. So I think it's important to know that some of those companies are working to minimize that happening, but you're talking about governing people's private bedroom activities essentially. Right. And so how much can they really monitor that? But the idea that that's only happening on an adults only cruise is absolutely not true. It started long ago on other cruise lines, and Virgin is a brand new line, Virgin being the newest adults only cruise line. That all that behavior was happening long ago. And as a matter of fact, my personal experience on Virgin has been that's not the majority of why people are there. They're there because they don't have kids with them and they want a space.
Just want to have fun.
You want to have fun.
Yeah.
They want to drink with their friends or their spouse. They want to dance and be flirty.
They want to be the first in line for the ice cream, not having to wait for the kids.
They want to actually be able to swim in the pool and not be splashed by children. Yeah. No screaming kids. Yeah. And so the entertainment at night is more, it's not Disney on Ice. So if that's what you want, you need to be on the Disney cruise, whether you're an adult or family, that's awesome. That's going to be on Disney cruise. If what you want is more like Broadway style, avant-garde dance routine, that kind of thing, or maybe like a drag brunch or drag bingo, like that kind of stuff is going to be happening on Virgin. And then there's late night dance parties, and it's not like 40 people in the corner, on a family cruise. It's the majority of the cruise is showing up for this giant dance party on the pool deck, and so that is designed for people to go and have fun in adult spaces without children, and nobody's worried about kids are up too late or we're being too loud, right? Because there's no children on board. So that also means, though, that if all of that sounds miserable to you as an adult, then it's not the cruise for you, and that's okay. Go find one that's quiet. I have had other clients say, well, we really enjoyed this other cruise line, but everything shut down at 9 p.m. Like, they expected all the adults to just go to bed at 9. There are adults who would pay extra to have the whole place shut down at 9 because they want to go to bed and they don't want to feel like they're missing anything. And that's what they're looking for in life on a vacation. And that's great. But if that's what you're if that's not what you want, if you want to dance till 2 a.m., then you're going to be so mad that you paid all that money to be on that cruise ship and the bar's not even open at 9. You're going to wish you were on Virgin. So that's why it matters what cruise line you choose. And I think that's also why we shouldn't get too caught up in rumors about what something is. Like, do your research and really look into what is the company saying their priority is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you can find anything anywhere. You know what I mean? If you're looking for it. And just because you're on a Virgin cruise, people are not going to be attacking you to come swing with them. It's
very unlikely.
It's not going to be in your face.
Very unlikely.
Everybody's just doing their own thing. And
you might see, our very first one was Valentine's week. We went on Virgin for the first time. We were nervous. We didn't know what we were getting into. It was a whole lot of couples on a Valentine's trip or an anniversary trip. We were there celebrating our anniversary, and the couple sitting next to us that was 2 men were celebrating their wedding anniversary. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see, and then also the next time we went was not Valentine's week. It was a whole ton of friend groups, adult friend groups. So it was less romantic maybe, but it was so sweet and fun to see a whole group of men dancing and being silly and drinking too many cocktails, right? And then whole groups of ladies doing the same thing. And it was a ton of fun. It's just a ton of fun. But it's not where you're taking your grandkids. It's a different kind of cruise, and that's
right.
Okay. And it's not for everyone. So it's important to know the company you're working with and are they a good fit for what you're looking for. If you're not a partier, then that's going to affect the cruise line you choose.
And that's where a travel agent comes in, because they're going to help the personalities of the cruise line and help you guide you to ones that are going to fit what you're looking for. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's great. Real quick, I wanted to talk about what add-ons should be expected when you're looking at a cruise line. And I know we could probably do a whole entire episode of just this, but let's just kind of run through. I know we already talked about dining options. I know another one on some cruises would be Wi-Fi. Drink packages are a big thing. What else?
The drink thing can be surprising for people because that includes soda or bottled for a lot of the places. And if you get a drink package on a lot of the places, that's your drink package. You can choose whether you're going to get premium or if you're just going to get beer or if you're going to want wine or spirits or whatever, or if you are going to want specialty coffees, things like this. So there may be a package that you can have available for you. Now, some cruise lines will just have a bar tab, like Virgin will just, you say, okay, I'm going to spend this much money. And then they have, just like you would go to a bar, that you're going to be spending, $6 to $12 on each drink. So that could be one way to do it. Just to know yourself. If you're used to going to all-inclusive resorts, you might be okay, why isn't this all included? Well, you can get the drink package. And then if you don't want to be counting, then get the drink package and know that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Or you can pay per drink.
I think there's at least one cruise line that you cannot drink alcohol unless you have the bar package that you've prepaid for. So really need to know what you're getting into. And I think, as Tina mentioned, it's shocking sometimes for some families some of the family cruise lines are really known for, you're not drinking anything but water unless you have paid for at least the base beverage package, which includes the soda fountains and juices. So, and then that doesn't include the fancy coffee at the coffee shop. So you have to know what you're getting into and know that you're going to pay considerably more than what you think you've paid for that cruise by the time you've added on a drink package for every person in your group.
Some of them, like if you have one package for one person in the room, you have to have it for all of them, or, they're kind of different. Yes. Each one's kind of different that way. So that's definitely something that you need to be aware of.
Yes, that's why when I say pricing, pricing should be the last consideration, because pricing is not, I'm just going to say it, pricing is not accurate. Pricing is a lie for most of these cruise lines. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but I hope that any cruise executive listening to this knows that we are onto you. It's a lie.
Yeah.
You are not telling the truth about what it costs to go on that cruise, because who is only drinking water on a cruise on their vacation? It's their 1 week of vacation. Come on. You know what I mean? And so, especially if they're going on an anniversary trip or something, then they're going to want to eat a fancy dinner together that's romantic. They're going to want to order wine or at least sodas during the week. Who do you not have friends that could not live a week without Diet Coke? Come on. You know what I'm saying? And then if they want to send photos, who is not connecting to email for an entire week or Instagram photos of their vacation, right? So they're going to want at least the base Wi-Fi package. Okay, we've added 3 things right there.
Right off the top. Yeah.
Right away. And then gratuities is something nobody talks about, but they really want you to repay your gratuities. And that can be a considerable amount of money per person. And then taxes and fees, it adds up. It adds up fast.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important to keep in mind that the price you're looking at when they're only $300 for the cruise. And okay, no. First of all, it's $300 per person. And that's the base bargain price.
That's with nothing.
That is,
you're not eating or drinking the entire week.
Yeah. So it is not $300. You're going to pay $500 minute per person for that trip. So, it's just important to know that going into it. I think it's why people can get really angry. I get angry about it on people's behalf. And it's another reason why working with a travel agent is going to help you, because they also have other ways of helping you save money. So not always can we save you extra money, but sometimes we really, really can, because our connections matter. So depending on what host companies we work with and the contracting behind the scenes with these cruise lines, sometimes we have access to group rates or other pricing that you wouldn't necessarily have access to. And we can help you get maybe even some extra perks. Sometimes, I almost hate to say that because it's not all the time. And it depends on the company, and it depends on when you're cruising and when you're buying. Yeah. And definitely the cheapest time to buy a cruise is going to be from December to end of February, early March. That's when the biggest sales are. It's in our industry called wave season. So if you can plan ahead, book your cruises during wave season to go on in the summer or the next year even. And you're going to save even more money if you're booking for the next year, usually, because you're paying way in advance, and you're giving yourself more time to pay it off too. So those are my best tips for pricing. And man, do I get wired up about it, because it feels like a trick sometimes. And I want our families to be able to go on their dream vacation and not feel like they got scammed.
I think that's kind of the important thing when people are feeling that they're scammed, and then they go to a travel agent and they're like, wait a minute, I saw that this was $300 and you're telling me the truth. And it's okay, well, the truth is, look, we're breaking it up, because if you were to go and book this by yourself, you're going to end up with the same result.
Yes.
It's just that I'm the one, don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you. I'm just going to
be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that is my practice, is to, if you're a new client of mine, then I'm going to say, okay, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth about what it's really going to cost you. And I'm going to do the research, and I'm going to find my best price for you. But I'm not going to lie to you and say it's $300 when it's really $575 per person. So you're really paying for your family of 3 over $1,500 $300 when you were excited about that $300 price, you know? So it's something to remember. And also the rooms are done by person because it's an all-inclusive in theory. It's not unless you're on Virgin and all-inclusive because like you said, you're nickel and diming actually all those extra things. But because it's not just your room that you're paying for, you're paying for food and entertainment and other things, then it's a per person fee, like at a resort where you're paying per person, not just per room. So if you're going by yourself, that's another thing to know. If you're going, or even with a group, but you want your own room, you're going to, on most cruise lines, pay an extra fee because they think of it as like, I lost out on that extra person's fees. So they make you pay at least a person and a half, and sometimes two, sometimes the full like two people in order to go. And they call it single supplement, which sounds like you're getting something extra, but no, they're getting something extra for you going on this cruise by yourself. So just know that going in, and that's true in hotel rooms too. So it's not shocking, but it is depressing. And that's why sometimes it's special when you see, sometimes cruise lines will have a sale where and Virgin is really good about this since they're adults only and they know that they have a lot of single people coming on. They will often advertise that there's no single supplement. That's what that means. So if you are someone who travels alone, that's what you want to look for, is no single supplement, is the key phrasing there. So it really matters. It matters. You got to know what you're getting into. And that's where a travel agent is going to help you find the best fit. And no, we don't start with price. And it's not because we want you to spend more money. It's because we want you to find the right vacation. Yeah. And we know that price is not the deciding factor.
We want you to be realistic.
Yeah.
I think if we're talking about prices for the vacation, other things that add up, we need to talk about excursions, because when we talk about why are you going on this cruise, if you're going because you want to have an experience at the certain ports, then you know that is not included in the cruise. And so you may be more often than not, you should book your cruise through the cruise line, or book your tours through the cruise line, because they have an obligation to get you back onto the cruise. Because if you just get off of the cruise and you go shopping or whatever, they don't need to wait for you to come back. Now, there are some, I know that Viator now has some of their tours that are guaranteed. So they work with the cruise lines to make sure they're guaranteed, but you have to make sure that they're guaranteed to get you back on your boat. But those are going to be extra costs. Whichever way you purchase them, they're going to be extra costs. So you have to kind of look at that as well.
And people do get left behind.
Yes.
So they're not joking about that. So it does matter. And also in some places that have less wonderful reputations, there are some places that are not necessarily safe for tourists to just wander off into, that cruise ports will stop in. And there are great things to see and do, but then what the cruise line will do is really strongly encourage you to only book with them, because they will also have added security measures into those tours to make sure that their people are safe, can enjoy the cultural experience, and then get back safely. So that's something also to remember. And I think the thing is sometimes we just go into stuff blindly. We don't know. Like, I wouldn't know what the current political situation in a place is if it's not in the news in my face. Then I have no idea what's going on, because I'm just oblivious to that. And that's speaking as a person who's looking at world stuff all day long. So you can imagine the average American, unless you're being told, this is dangerous, this is happening right now, breaking news, like we have no idea. Work with companies you trust. And that's why booking through a cruise line is really powerful when it comes to those excursion tours. So
and it's so worth it. I mean, my first cruise, I didn't get off the boat. One, because I'm nervous, and two was because it was a rock and roll cruise and there were bands that were going on and I wanted to see. But the next time I went, we went on multiple excursions, and it was the best. I mean, it was so great, and it was direct directly through the cruise. You know, we actually, a lot of these cruise lines will have their own app, and we were able to, you know, add it onto the app. And we also did a chef's tour on the boat.
Ooh, yes.
So that was one of the things we stayed on the boat for when everybody else was gone. We did a tour, so we got to see the kitchen, and then we got to try from all of the specialty restaurants, which is the whole thing. That was on
I
road.
love that. I would have loved that.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm down for the food stuff.
It is good to know that a lot of the cruise ships will have extra programming available on port days. So if you ended up in a situation where you're like, oh, I've already been to this place, or I spent all my money doing other fun things and I don't have the money to spend on an excursion a day, then having a day where you have the ship kind of to yourself, because that's what it'll feel like. There'll be a few hundred people on there, but you won't notice, especially if it's a really big ship. Most people will be out on the port. So it's a fun time to go do extra things. And like one of the things we discovered is on our Virgin cruise, the spa was like, some of their features were half price on port days because otherwise they didn't get sales on that day usually. So we would go down on one of our, we would always choose one port that we're like, okay, we're going to skip this port, or we're going to like go out and see just like what's right there and then immediately get back on the ship. And we go and have a very long champagne brunch that morning in the wake on this Virgin cruise, and beautiful, wonderful lunch with like big windows that overlook the port city you're in. And you have this beautiful dinner and the place is nearly empty. So like all the waiters are just serving you. You feel like royalty. It's amazing. And then we go up and enjoy, you know, the sun deck or the pool. And then we go to the spa for a few hours, and it's all either free because you've already paid for everything that's on the ship as far as food and drink, or it's on sale. And then you can go and do things that are normally crowded too. You can go and enjoy that by yourself. So we could go and play board games in the playroom, or we could go and sit at the bar and have a cocktail and lounge by the pool. It's normally crowded. And so those are some fun things to do if you do find yourself in a situation where you're like, I don't know that I want to go out to all the ports. It's okay. And that's when it matters what ship you're on. Are you on a ship that has enough fun things for you to do and nice spaces for you to lounge, so that you're not just like, well, I guess I'll go back to my room, you know? You don't want to be in that situation where you feel like you're missing out. You want to feel like you're fully happy the whole time. So it really matters. Another thing to consider, Tina, I think that was a good point to add, that there's some extra things that go into these trips. And another one that people don't think about sometimes, and this can be make or break. Can you really afford this trip? Do you really have the time for this trip? And that is travel time to the port and back home again. And do you need a hotel? What about parking? Are you driving? Then where are you going to park? If you're flying into the port city, how are you going to get from there to the port? Do you have time to do that directly? And I would say the answer is no. You need to go the night before. You need to go the day before. At least 48 hours is better, because if your flights are delayed, you miss your cruise because of the airline. This happens to people a lot. And so this is also why travel insurance matters. So like there's so many more things that go into it that people don't think about. And that's why working with someone who knows what they're getting you into is going to help so much, especially if this is your first time cruising. We want to make sure that you can afford it, that you're happy with it, that you're safe, that you had the exact experience you were hoping for, maybe even had some happy surprises. And we want to make sure that you had enough time to fully enjoy it and then get home in time for work without feeling stressed. So that's why working with a travel agent who knows their stuff is going to make sure you have a better vacation than if you just saw a post on TikTok and decided to jump in. We want to make sure you really have the best time ever.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on, because we are way over our time. Like, I know that we are travel agents, and so we're like, it seems like we're probably just saying you need to get a travel agent because we want people to work with us, but you need to get a travel agent. It really is going to help you have a better experience.
Really.
100%. It really
and
is.
So much less stressful, because we just mentioned, how many cruise lines did you say, Kimmy? I know you mentioned.
There's 51 ocean cruise lines.
So 51 cruise lines. That's not like, that's 51 times all the itineraries options, destination options, all the different cruise ships. Like the number of options is huge.
Even just working with the top 5,
yes.
It's overwhelming, the number
Yes.
of options.
Yes. So how do you narrow it down? How many hours are you willing to invest trust in your research, like that's what a cruise expert's going to do for you. They're going to help you narrow it down fast. And then you're just like, okay, which of these 3 do you want to do? And it's going to work so much better.
So I've changed up our question a little bit for this one. Usually we ask what destination is on your mind, but today we're going to ask what cruise destination is on your mind this week. What do y'all have?
So it's not necessarily a destination because I'm very excited about taking my first Virgin cruise sometime. And at the beginning of each year, they really kind of focus on wellness. So I'm not sure exactly which one I will choose. It'll probably be a Caribbean one because I like that. But I probably won't have a lot of time to go. But a yoga wellness cruise, because I know they have the great yoga and fitness classes that are included. And I might have a chance to teach a couple classes myself. So yeah.
Cool. What's you, Heather?
I'm a fan of the Bahamas. The water is so clear, and I have a slight fear of the ocean, but there I feel safe because I can stand in the water and see what's coming at me. And it's just beautiful. It's a great place to visit. And yes, and on Virgin they have their own resort that they have for the whole day. You can go and it's included with your trip. You're not paying extra, and like your drink package works there and meals are included, and you get to spend a day on the beach in the Bahamas. It's so fabulous. So
I'm ready.
Yeah,
That sounds great.
Cannot wait.
I was thinking like a Western Caribbean, a little farther, that'd be nice with multiple islands visiting.
The Lesser Antilles in the Southern Caribbean is also amazing because there's so many islands like Aruba and, Martinique. Oh, amazing places.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Travel Bug Girls podcast. Be sure to subscribe to get our new episodes every week. We'd love to connect with you on social media. Share your answer to this week's podcast question with us at facebook.com/travelbuggirls. You can find us on your favorite social media by using @travelbuggirls. Want to join our VIP group? You'll find us on Facebook groups under TBG Travel Bugs. Learn more about the Travel Bug Girls and what we do on our website at travelbuggirls.com. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and safe travels. Are you ready to be in the room where it happens? Next spring, your shot at an unforgettable New York City experience is here. Imagine 4 incredible nights in the heart of Times Square, exploring iconic landmarks from Greenwich Village to Wall Street. Picture yourself gazing up at Lady Liberty and reflecting at the powerful 9/11 memorial. But that's not all. This isn't just any trip. It's your chance to witness the revolutionary energy of 2 Broadway shows, including the one you've been waiting for, Hamilton. We're taking care of everything. Round-trip flights from Dallas or your closest airport, comfortable hotel transfers, 5 delicious meals, and easy transportation throughout the city are all included. Don't throw away your shot. Visit travelbuggirls.com to book your Broadway dream trip today. That's travelbuggirls.com. Be a part of history. Experience New York City and the magic of Hamilton.